Adrian Cole sat at a sidewalk cafe in the late afternoon sun reviewing acquisition documents on his tablet. As CEO of Cole Enterprises, he was rarely truly off duty, even on a Saturday. "Excuse me, is anyone sitting here?" He looked up to find a woman gesturing to the empty chair across from him. She was elegant in a cream blouse and tan skirt, her blonde hair catching the light. "It's all yours," Adrian said, returning his attention to the screen. The woman sat down but didn't order. Instead, she seemed to be gathering courage for something. Adrian could feel her watching him. "I'm sorry," she finally said. "This is going to sound insane, but I need to ask you something." Adrian sat down his tablet. "I'm listening." "My ex-fiancée is getting married in 3 weeks. I was invited. I shouldn't go, but I feel like I need to for closure. The problem is showing up alone makes me look pathetic. Everyone will be there wondering why I'm still single while he's moved on." "So, you want me to be your date to your ex's wedding? I know it's crazy, but you look successful and put together, and I'm desperate. I'll pay you for your time, $1,000 for one afternoon. You just have to show up, look reasonably attentive, and help me get through it with some dignity intact." Adrian should have said no. He had a dozen valid reasons. He didn't know this woman. He had better things to do with his time. The entire situation was strange at best. But something in her expression stopped him. Vulnerability masked by forced confidence. Pride struggling against hurt. He recognized that look. "What's your name?" he asked. "Elena. Elena Sinclair. Adrian Cole. And I don't need your money, Elena, but I'll do it under one condition." "What condition?" "You tell me the real reason you're going to this wedding. Because closure is therapy language." "What's the actual reason?" Elena's composure cracked slightly. "I want him to see that I'm okay, that leaving me didn't break me, even though it did a little. I want to walk in there with someone who makes me look like I've moved on, like I'm thriving." Is that pathetic? It's human. We all want to be seen as okay, especially by people who've hurt us. "So, you'll do it? Really? Really? Give me the details and I'll be there." Elena looked stunned. "Just like that? You don't want to know anything else about me?" "I assume you'll tell me what I need to know before the wedding, but yes, just like that." Sometimes the craziest requests come from the most genuine needs. They exchanged numbers. Elena promised to send him details about the wedding, the people involved, the story they'd tell about how they met. After she left, Adrienne's assistant called. "Where are you? We have the Meridian presentation to finalize." "I'm aware. I'll be there in 20 minutes. You sound distracted. Is everything all right?" "Everything's fine. I just agreed to be a stranger's fake date to her ex's wedding." "I'm sorry." "What?" "I'll explain later." "Maybe. Send me the Meridian files." Over the following weeks, Elena and Adrian met 3 times to coordinate their story. Coffee shops, lunch, one dinner where they worked out the details of their fictional relationship. "We met at a charity gala," Elena suggested 6 months ago. "You were there for business connections. I was there supporting arts education. We started talking about the silent auction items and ended up spending the whole evening together." "That's plausible. What do I do for a living in this story?" "What do you actually do?" "I run a tech company, Cole Enterprises. We develop software solutions for healthcare systems. Elena's eyes widened. You're that Adrian Cole, the one who was on the cover of Business Week last month. Guilty. And you agreed to be my fake date to a wedding. Why? You needed help and I was available. It's not complicated. It is for me. I'm a high school art teacher making $40,000 a year. You're a tech CEO. We exist in completely different worlds. So, at the wedding, we're just two people who like each other's company. Wealth doesn't change that. Yes, it does. Everyone there will know you're out of my league. They'll assume you're with me for reasons that have nothing to do with genuine connection. Then we prove them wrong. We show them two people who actually enjoy talking to each other, who have chemistry, who chose each other. But we haven't chosen each other. This is fake. Is it? We've spent hours together over the past 2 weeks. I genuinely enjoy your company. You're smart, funny, passionate about your work. That's real. Even if the relationship label is manufactured. Elena studied him. Why are you really doing this? The truth. Adrian sat down as coffee. 5 years ago, my ex-wife left me for someone else. She remarried 6 months later and invited me to the wedding. I didn't go and I've regretted it ever since. Not because I wanted her back, but because I let her see that she still had power over me, that I was hiding. I don't want you to have that regret. I'm sorry. That must have been awful. It was, but it taught me something. Running from painful situations doesn't make them less painful. Sometimes you have to walk through the fire to get to the other side. The wedding was held at a vineyard an hour outside the city. Adrian picked up Elena in his car, deliberately choosing a modest sedan instead of his usual luxury vehicle. She looked beautiful in a navy dress that was elegant without being attention-grabbing. You look nervous, Adrian observed as they drove. I am. I haven't seen Marcus in a year. The last time we spoke, I was begging him to reconsider. It wasn't my finest moment. What happened between you? We were together for 4 years, engaged for 1. Then he met someone else at a work conference. 6 months later, he was marrying her instead. I spent a year wondering what I'd done wrong, what I could have done differently. And now I know it. Wasn't about me. He wanted something I couldn't give him. Someone more ambitious, more connected, more impressive. Jenna, his bride, is a corporate attorney from a wealthy family. I'm a teacher who spends weekends helping students with portfolio applications. We were never going to work long-term. Then why do you still care what he thinks? I don't know. Pride maybe, or some small part of me that still needs him to realize what he lost. They arrived at the vineyard and were directed to seats for the outdoor ceremony. Elena immediately tensed as she recognized people. That's Marcus's mother, she whispered, nodding toward a Severell-looking woman in pearls. She never thought I was good enough for him. Then it's her loss that she never got to know you better. The ceremony was beautiful in that generic way expensive weddings often are. Marcus was handsome and beaming. Jenna was stunning in designer white. Everything was perfect and polished and felt entirely choreographed. Adrian watched Elena during the vows. She held herself together admirably, but he saw her hand clenched slightly when Marcus said, I do. At the reception, they mingled. Adrian played his role perfectly. Attentive but not possessive. Successful but not showy. Clearly smitten with Elena in small, believable ways. So, how did you two meet? Asked one of Elena's former friends. curiosity barely masked by politeness. Elena launched into their rehearsed story. Adrian added details that made it feel real. The color of her dress that night, the way she'd laughed at his terrible joke about modern art, the moment he knew he wanted to see her again. "That's sweet," the friend said, though her expression suggested she found it unlikely. Marcus approached during dinner with Jenna on his arm. "Elena, I'm so glad you could make it." "Congratulations, Marcus." "Jenna, you look beautiful." "Thank you." "And who's this?" "This is Adrian." "Adrian, this is Marcus and Jenna." Adrian shook their hands with exactly the right amount of friendly professionalism. "What do you do, Adrian?" Marcus asked, his tone carrying a subtle challenge. "I'm in tech software development, but I'm much more interested in hearing about the honeymoon plans. Elena mentioned you're going to Greece." They chatted politely for a few minutes before Marcus and Jenna moved on to greet other guests. Once they were gone, Elena exhaled, "Thank you. You handled that perfectly. I told you the truth. I am more interested in honeymoon plans than talking about myself." That wasn't an act. As evening fell, the dancing started. Adrian extended his hand. "May I?" "You don't have to. We fulfilled the obligation. People have seen us together. I'm not asking because I have to. I'm asking because I'd like to dance with you." On the dance floor, Elena relaxed into his arms. "Can I tell you something?" she asked quietly. "Of course. This doesn't hurt as much as I thought it would, seeing him marry someone else. I thought it would destroy me, but I'm okay. More than okay. I'm actually happy." "Why?" "Because I realized something watching them up there. I never loved Marcus the way Jenna clearly loves him. I loved the idea of him, the security of having someone, but I didn't love him for who he actually is. And he didn't love me either. We were settling for each other. That's a powerful realization." "It is. And I have you to thank for it. If I'd come alone, I'd have spent the whole day focused on my own hurt. Having you here gave me perspective, made me see the situation clearly instead of through the lens of my wounded ego. I'm glad I could help." As the song ended, Elena's hand lingered in his. "Adrian, can I ask you something?" "Always. When this is over, when we leave this wedding and our arrangement ends, would you be interested in seeing me again? For real this time, not as a performance." Adrian smiled. "I thought you'd never ask. I've been trying to figure out how to suggest that without making things awkward." "Really? You're interested in me? Actually interested? Why is that so surprising?" "Because you're successful, accomplished, sophisticated. You could date anyone. I am dating someone. Or I'd like to be an art teacher who's passionate about her students, who has the courage to face painful situations head-on, who makes me laugh without trying. That's exactly who I want to date." They stayed until the end of the reception, but the performance had shifted into something genuine. The touches were real, the smiles unforced, the connection authentic. As Adrian drove Elena home, she turned to him. "I have a confession. Oh, I noticed you at that cafe weeks before I approached you. I'd seen you there 3 different times. You always looked so focused, so self-contained. When I decided I needed a fake date, I deliberately went back hoping to find you there. This wasn't as spontaneous as I made it seem. I have a confession, too." "What's that?" "I noticed you the first time you came to that cafe. You were grading papers and you smiled at something a student had written. I thought to myself that I'd like to know what made you smile like that. So when you approached me, I was already interested. Elena laughed. We're both terrible at this. At what? Being honest about what we want. You could have asked me out weeks ago. I could have approached you for something other than a fake date arrangement. We got here eventually. That's what matters. 6 months later, Adrian sat in the audience at Elena's school art show, watching her students display their work. She moved through the crowd with genuine joy, praising each piece, encouraging nervous teenagers, making every student feel seen. You're staring, Elena said when she finally made her way over to him. I'm admiring. There's a difference. Are you bored? I know this isn't exactly a tech conference, Elena. I've been to 100 tech conferences. They all blend together. This is watching you do what you love. Seeing the impact you have on these kids' lives. This is infinitely more interesting than another presentation about cloud infrastructure. I love you, Elena said suddenly. I love you too. That's not news. No, but I wanted to say it here in my world, not yours. To make sure you know that I love you as Adrian, not as the successful CEO. Just as the man who agreed to be my fake date and ended up being real. I've always been real with you from that first day at the cafe. I know. That's why I love you. A year later, they stood in the same vineyard where they'd reconnected at Marcus's wedding. But this time, Elena wore white. Adrian waited at the altar, watching her walk toward him. We should thank Marcus, he whispered when she reached him. For what? For being smart enough to let you go and dumb enough to invite you to his wedding. Otherwise, I might never have had the chance to be your fake date and my real husband. That too. In his vows, Adrian talked about the courage it takes to ask for help from strangers. About Elena's strength in facing a painful situation instead of running from it. About how sometimes the best relationships start with the craziest requests. In hers, Elena talked about the unexpected places we find love. About the man who said yes to a bizarre proposition because he saw someone in need. About learning that the right person doesn't just support you through hard moments, but transforms them into something beautiful. Marcus and Jenna were not invited to this wedding. Not out of spite, but because they belonged to a different chapter, one that had needed to end so this one could begin. Years later, when people asked how they met, Elena would tell the truth. I asked him to be my fake date to my ex's wedding. He said yes and then he stayed for our vows. For Adrian, the lesson was about the unexpected ways life offers second chances. I went to that wedding thinking I was doing someone a favor, he'd say. I left, realizing she'd done one for me. She reminded me that taking chances on strange requests sometimes leads to the best decisions of your life. The invitation to be a fake date had been Elena's desperate attempt to save face. The decision to say yes had been Adrienne's instinct to help someone in need. But what happened next was neither fake nor desperate. It was two people discovering that sometimes the roles we play become the truths we live. That connections built on genuine care outlast connections built on perfect circumstances and that the courage to ask for help and the generosity to offer it can transform both the asker and the giver in ways neither expected. The end. If this story reminded you that the strangest beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales about unexpected connections and finding real love in fake situations. Comment below about a time you said yes to something unusual that changed your life or when pretending led to something genuine. Your story might encourage someone else to take that leap into the unexpected.